we going? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so just as we start to think about our lesson on Monday, I know we've kind of discussed this. Do you want to kind of walk me through, Jason, what you're thinking?
Yeah, so on Friday, students are going to look at a document from News ELA,
Okay.
and then they're going to be annotating that document. So working with annotations in hopes that that'll help them better use citations when they answer questions,
Right.
specific questions.
Right.
So I think working with News ELA is a good site. And then Monday when they come in, we'll separate them into 2 groups. And you'll take a group, I'll take
Right.
a group. And for the first 10 minutes, all we're going to do is talk about what annotations they did. So we'll have a computer up and we'll look at the computer and they'll just rattle off some of the stuff they did. And hopefully they'll point out stuff like definitions or quotes or interesting facts that they
Basically
wrote in the
those
article.
things that we were having them try to pick out
Yep.
in the article to begin with.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm just going to rephrase this back to you. So Friday, Thursday they're getting assigned their News ELA article.
Correct.
Friday they have that class period to work on it.
Yep.
And that's after we're modeling on Thursday.
Correct.
So we're looking for vocabulary, we're looking for interesting facts, we're looking for central ideas, anything that might stick out to them.
Correct.
And then when we come to Monday, your group, my group,
Yep.
doing some mini lessons, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and then we're looking at having them take that formative assessment, is that right?
Correct.
And what are we going to think about using for that formative assessment?
So we're going to use the document about the mill girls. So we're going to focus in on the American Industrial Revolution, and they're just going to read this document, which just follows the life of the mill girls going
Sure.
through. And the hope is that we'll give them a specific question that we want them to answer, and it's an opinion-based question, but we're hoping that they'll pull out citations from that to
Okay.
back up their documents, because that's what we've been working on for the past few weeks.
And this is a primary source, correct?
Correct.
Because they've used primary sources and are also used secondary sources, but
Right.
we're focusing on primary sources
Right.
with this one, right?
Yep.
Okay. So ultimately, today what we need to decide is really Monday's lesson, because we know that they're practicing Friday. So what we're kind of looking at is having some debriefing time, right?
Mm-hmm.
About what they annotated on Friday,
Yep.
correct?
Correct.
Okay. After debriefing time, we also need to do what with the article? Or did we talked about that earlier? Were we going to take time to read through that one with them?
So we'll read through. So after we've each gone through and debriefed with them, then each group will just read out the article with them.
Okay.
And just explain again the process of annotating, what we're looking for, and maybe some things that popped out while we were reading it together.
Sure.
So students can go back and kind
Sure.
of start hitting that.
Well, and I was going to say, hopefully that's kind of what we discussed about, that hopefully by taking the time to, number one, debrief what they annotated on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was a different article, and number two, taking some time on Monday then to read that article together,
yeah.
that hopefully, especially those that are maybe a little bit more of our low achievers, will at least have heard that out loud. So even those words, when they read it and they're not understanding, hopefully they'll put it down as an annotation.
Annotation, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, perfect. So we have our article, the Lowell Mill Girls article. What are you thinking? How many groups were we thinking?
2 groups would probably be the best. So, I mean, it's a fairly large class, but I still think we'll be okay with that.
I think so too.
And then, so then after that, we can just, after we each go through, then they'll go back and kind of do their own formative. So we'll work with them for 15 minutes,
Okay.
Mixing and matching, and then they'll go do their own thing.
Okay. Awesome. Do we want to, I know you pulled out that list that we used last time, and last time we did something similar to this. We had 3 groups, not 2 groups, because we had that independent kind of work time as we would rotate through.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. I think we just cut them loose maybe at the end, and let them all do that article together.
Okay.
What are your thoughts with how we could maybe group, or what we should do with them?
Well,
This is the challenge.
Yeah.
Because I mean, these guys have done really well in group work, and there have been other times where
we've struggled.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's been times where it's great overall class stuff, and we've struggled. So it's hit and miss. We know we can't stick those 2 together.
Okay, so Rachel and Christina
cannot go together.
So if you go ahead and talk, I'm just gonna.
Okay.
You can dictate, and I'll write
Yeah,
here.
Rachel and Christina can't go together.
Okay.
But I think Carson would be better with Christina over
Okay.
Rachel,
Okay.
and West would be better with
Rachel. Okay. Put Dylan with Rachel.
Bryce with the B would be better with Christina, because we have to keep him away
From that opinion, yeah, I
Yeah.
know what you mean. He's got great ideas, but sometimes.
Yes. Just doesn't go.
Right.
And then Bryce with the G can go in group
Rachel.
1. Yeah.
Okay.
Austin and Brandon need to be separated.
I agree with you.
Their groups, which
Do you have preference over
I would
this
stick
group work?
Brandon in 2.
2. Okay.
And Austin in the other one. We'll need to separate Heather and Paige.
Yep, I agree with you. And it doesn't really
Doesn't
matter,
matter,
vice versa. Okay. All right.
Laura and Olivia, and they're just very comfortable with each other. It's not like they're gonna
Right.
misbehave.
They don't misbehave,
Hey,
but they don't necessarily push each other.
Right. They're just
Right.
very, very comfortable with each other.
Right.
And so, in order to get separate opinions,
Let's
we'll
do
have to keep
this.
them.
We're gonna split them. I think if I remember it, sometimes we like split towards the middle of the group. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna flip flop. I'm gonna put Laura over there, and I'm gonna put Olivia over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would go the same with Michael.
Michael B.
Yep, and Zave.
Okay, Michael B and Zave. So what if we put Zave here and Michael B over here?
Wyatt and Dawson need to be.
I know they actually work really, really well together, but they do need to be separated.
Yep.
I know that's the problem. Is
Yeah.
I think they're so used to working together that.
Yep. You just need to push them apart.
Okay.
And,
Do you have preference?
Dawson's related to Rachel,
So
I'll
we'll
put him
go
in that
Wyatt.
group. Oh yeah, Wyatt. Sorry.
Or did you want? Do you
I
want
just-
him to be with there?
Yeah, I just thought that'd go better that way.
It's fine.
So,
Let's do that.
and then Wyatt in the other one.
Yeah. Okay.
Then really don't think Ed. I think
Don't have
anything
to
with
worry
anybody
about
else.
that.
No.
Because really, okay, we have Kristana, Laura, Paige, Rachel, Heather, Dawson, Carson, Elijah.
Yep.
Is there one over another?
No. Let's throw them in
So
this
this
group.
one?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
One. He's Olivia. We got
Yep, Olivia, we're good.
good.
Crispy,
Walker.
Allison, maybe put her over
Mhm.
here.
Put her with
Ellen, we want to put her with who?
Golitzer.
Okay, yeah, they do work well together.
Yeah. And that's just a different. We don't have.
We have Wyatt, we don't have Kennedy. You want me to put
Yep.
Kennedy over here?
Yeah.
And then Emily, who would go anywhere.
Anywhere. I think that's it.
Okay.
Oh, Subi.
Which, is he okay in this
Yep.
group?
Yep.
I think so too. It's not, I mean, we're just doing some, it's just, we're literally taking the class dividing in half. It's not like
Yeah.
they're necessarily going to have partners
No.
out of that.
No. They'll
Okay.
be fine that way.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Okay.
Oh, great?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to rephrase back to you. Tell me if I'm missing something.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take some debriefing time. How long do you think it'll take to debrief that annotation from Friday?
I'm hoping 10 minutes, and that should. I don't think we need to go read it word for word again, but I just say, okay, what did we pull from this paragraph? Okay, and then we just kind of move on. And then
Right.
I think a lot of kids are going to have the same stuff because it's the same one, but
Right. Once again, because, okay, if we're looking at what our learning target is and that goal for that formative assessment, we just want them to be able to use the skill of annotating, but the formative assessment is over citing
Citing
evidence. Yes. Yes. Okay, so that should not take that long.
Nope.
Read through is really just kind of prepping them for the formative
Mhm.
assessment. Are you thinking about the same amount of time?
yeah,
Okay.
and it's fine if we get them quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that just gives them more work time at the end.
Yep.
Okay. And we're using that Lowell Mills articles. In terms of how we want to facilitate this formative assessment, we have our article.
Great.
What are your initial thoughts about that?
As far as working on computer or,
Yeah.
I would prefer that we're going to print it off and then they're going to answer on paper
Okay.
with paper pencil, and that way, hopefully they'll actually, really think about what they're reading as they're writing it down, as they're pulling out those citations instead of just copying and pasting. We're actually really thinking about what we're writing down.
Okay.
As far as our
Do you
answers.
have preference over, or just thinking about our kids, how do we center this? Do you have preference over typing? Are they okay to type their response? Or do you want them to handwrite their response? Because I know we're printing, you just said we'll print out the articles for them to annotate. Are you okay with them typing their response, or what are your thoughts?
I'd like them handwritten.
Okay. Let's do it. Okay, so we have our Mill Girl article. It's dealing with, obviously, okay, so it's primary source. Harriet Robinson wrote it. We know it's really centered around the experience of the girls during that time period in those factories. Do we have a specific question that we can center that formative assessment around? We talked about leaving it
open.
Yeah.
Kind of wide open, so they can have an opinion. And was it something along the lines of what was the experience like of the mill girls, or what would, in your opinion, what would it be like to be a mill girl?
I think we started it with in your opinion, because we want them to start to state a claim in their based on their opinion, but then having to back it up with evidence. Okay,
and that's where we going in from last time, like stating claims. And
in your opinion, what was the experience of the mill girls? And did we put a time frame with that? Did we just say in the 30s and 40s?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where that's based off of. So
in the 1830s and 40s. Okay. And then we did say as well use evidence.
Yep. Use evidence, which we shouldn't have to say anymore.
No, we shouldn't. Evidence to support your response?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to repeat back to you here one more time. So we have our two groups.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take about 10 minutes-ish. I mean, these are flexible times to do some debriefing about their annotation practice they did on Friday.
Right.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and flip-flop, right? And then we'll go ahead and read that article with them and maybe talk about what they should look for when they're annotating, or just some reminders about, hey, we looked for vocabulary, we looked for central ideas, we looked for interesting facts that stuck out to us to help us better understand the article.
Yep.
And then cut them loose. So they should have a good chunk of time in class. They should be able to finish that in class.
Yeah, they should have 30 minutes or so
Okay.
in a class to get that.
Okay. And then thoughts about looking at formative assessments when we debrief after that on Monday. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, our question, in your opinion, what was the experience of the mill girls in the 1830s and 40s? Use evidence to support your response.
Correct. Sounds good.
All right, anything else or questions that you can think of?
No, not right now.
All right, so we'll go ahead and make sure we have copies and a place for them to write that. Otherwise, it should be good to go.
Should be.
Okay, awesome.